Hi there, Stephen Roger here. So we're in one of the rooms in a property that we've refurbished. Now, this has been probably our biggest challenge as an investment to date. We bought the property just over a year ago at auction. It was really tired, and I think it's fair to say it's something that we would never have taken on. You know, we wouldn't have done this if we hadn't have met Legacy. No. We can say that categorically. We're already investing in property. And I suppose the point is around something we talk about on the courses is it's the same process. You buy something, you make the money when you buy, you add the value, you refinance it. In fact, we've had the valuer here today to do the refinance. But it hasn't been straightforward. We're not going to say it's easy. It's a bit longer than we hoped.
I think one of the things we've said every time we've stood up in front of any students or potential students is this isn't easy. If anyone comes to one of our courses and thinks this is an easy way to make money, personally, I think if it was easy, everyone would be doing it. There's a lot of work, there's a lot of effort. The process is, the decisions aren't that hard. You know, there is a formula, but once you're actually in it, you're working with council, you're working with builders. I mean, you in particular, you know, this is a project that has taken a bit longer than we thought. May have cost us a little bit more than we thought. Depends on the revaluation, of course. But it's been worth it because sometimes you have to go through that difficult process to really learn. And things, you know, you're an experienced property investor. You've been doing this for a long time, but you've learned things with this property that maybe you haven't dealt with before. Yeah,
I definitely have learned on this property. It's an interesting one though because there is work. You know, we're not going to say it's not completely passive, but it becomes passive. And I think the point is, I actually was chatting about this with the valuer because he was interested in what we'd said, and he said we've sort of spec'd this about the right level. So what you spend is how, you know, based on the specifications of what you put in. You see the Elfin units behind us there. We put en suites in that little corner room there. So we built a small room, a partition walls, and so on. And it's a studio. It's an HMO, but it's like a studio because it's self-contained. So the spend is what it is. And I think the point is the work that you put in is up front. Yeah. Because what we've effectively done is future-proofed it, haven't we?
Well, I feel we're sitting here today, and actually the work is done. Yeah. Now, you know, this thing, you know, obviously you want to make sure all the rooms are rented. Ultimately, that's the most important thing. If all the rooms rent and it looks like they're going to rent, then this is just a property that will just sit in our portfolio and one that will just churn over and over for as long as we hold on to it. One of the interesting things for me about this property is that we always say you shouldn't get emotionally attached to properties. It's not like your own home where, you know, we get attached to it. And I'm not that attached to some of our properties, but this one is quite different because this is by far the biggest property.
So what's different?
It's just a lovely big old property, big ceilings. I love all this, you know, and I just love the fact that we've taken a property that was in a terrible state, in a lovely location near the seaside, and we've created something that I know if I brought my wife into here, she would go, "Wow, this is lovely."
So you want her in?
But I think it matters, and it shouldn't matter that much because, of course, we're property investors. Yeah. But this one did matter, and you know, we spent a lot of time, a lot of effort on this property, and I think it's been worth all of that because it's a property that I think we can be really proud of because if you know the before and after of this property, and there are some tenants who have sort of seen through this, and they're saying the same. You know, I think we've done a really good job with a property that needed looking, you know, needed
an uplift.
An uplift, you know, or it was just going to go down and down and down, and you don't want to see that.
No, and the lovely thing is, I mean, you can't see from here, but around here there are most of the properties are actually renovated, and you know, this was the tired one in the street, which is, I think, as an investor, is a really good thing. You get good comparables, but I think you're right. You know, you lift something, you revalue it. The process. So just so you know, we bought this at auction. We said that. Interestingly, we bought this under the reserve, which is quite unusual. And the reason that was is because it initially failed. The legal pack was incorrect. There was something wrong at the auction. We went back to the vendor and negotiated hard, and it took a few months, but they eventually thought, oh look, you have it, it's fine. We want to move on, and they realised that there was some money to be spent, and we were happy.
Yeah.
We were in a position, it's timing is everything, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that was just over a year ago. And the team started. We talked about converting it into big flats. We've actually kept the internal layout as was when we purchased and just refurbished. But what we have done, we had a problem at the back with a flat roof that was leaking. We put some scaffold up and then found, we found problems. And I suppose this is the thing, it's the slightly unknown, and the bigger the property and the older the property, certainly there's a propensity for that. But we found problems outside, and I'm looking up as if I'm just sort of saying, we've put so much work in outside that we maybe won't get back, but we've future-proofed the property because it's staying in the portfolio.
Yeah.
I think, if you'll hear this a lot as well on the courses, investing in property isn't about getting rich quick.
No.
It's very much about the slow burn, and again, you talk about this with the valuer. It's what we've done.
Well, especially for us, because we're not flipping properties. We're going for income and for long-term growth as a bonus. And you look at a place like this, and it will deliver income, but you also have this sort of feeling that this one is going to grow in value because of all the stuff we've had to do to it that you may not see. Yeah. But in the long term, when if we do decide to get rid of this property, then I think we'll see the benefit of that.
So we've done buy-to-lets, we've done unlicensed HMOs, we've done licensed HMO. This has actually got more options to it because we've got a flat underneath. Would you do this again?
I would. I think this has been the best.
Because
I just like having a big place with lots of rooms that are renting out, and a place that we've taken from being in a really bad state to every room looking fantastic. I like the location, but as you said, I think at the beginning, whether you do a small property or a big property, the only difference is the amount of money you're talking about. The actual process is the same. You only use one lawyer, you only use one surveyor, you only use one builder. We could have done 3 or 4 properties for what we paid for this. We have done, and that's the same amount of work. The figures are just different. So for me personally, if we could find another place like this and do this project again, I would jump at it. It's quite hard to find these properties. It's quite hard, if we're honest. It's much easier just to find a small place. Lots more of those you can find. But for me, I move towards the one big property over a longer period of time than numerous properties. I'm not saying that's right. You just asked me what I would do.
I think it's a good point. I think with a bigger place like this, so this is a 4-storey detached Victorian property with a flat in the basement, self-contained, different access, and then 9 of these rooms above it. That what we have now is options, and again, it's something that talk a lot about on the courses. Is we've given ourselves options, because of course the place like this we have the option of splitting the title and selling the flat on, for example, to recycle more aggressively. The HMO will cash flow. So there's strategies within strategies, if you like, when you have the whole freehold and you've got options.
And of course things change all the time, and there is the option of, with the whole Airbnb culture, there is an option maybe of
service accommodation.
Service accommodation is an option with a property like this. For now we're going to keep it as it is, and hopefully it'll just be a lovely solid part of our portfolio. But it's nice to have a property where there are options, and of course what you learn on the courses is that as the years go by, new options come along, and if you've got a portfolio of properties, you can do other things with them if you have the right properties.
So that's this place, this large place. It's the final one in this first phase for us. We set a phase up for a sort of 2-year project, didn't we? Very, very specifically.
Actually, I think
goals.
That's really important, because one of the things that we teach is that to have some clarity around what you want to achieve and in the timescale you want to achieve it,
and why,
and why. But like any goal, whether it's sport or property, the funny thing is, the feeling I have now is this has become our normality. If you had told me a few years ago that we'd be sitting here today and this is in a property like this, as well as all the other properties we have, that was quite daunting for me, and I had a degree of resistance. I did, we know that. But now it sort of feels like it's our normality. And that's what's great about setting a big goal. You've got to take those first few steps. And when you take those steps, once you're in the process and you're doing it, it becomes normality. And you've been a property investor on your own longer than we have been together, but I now feel I am a property investor. And that is because we created Performing Property with Legacy, but also I've sat in the rooms, I've listened and I've learned, we've been mentored, and it's like anything, have the goal, but then go and find a coach, go and find people to surround yourself with, and go and learn and get that knowledge, and then it just happens a hell of a lot quicker than, or if you don't do that, it maybe will never happen at all. So this is a good feeling.
So more of these,
if we can find them.
Then,
but I think we're at a stage where we can sort of sit back, reflect. We have used some of our money, we've used other people's money, so we have to manage the money, of course. But yeah, it's exciting to think, what are we going to do next? And that's a conversation that we'll have soon. And look at all the options, and do what we feel is right as part of our strategy.
Quick word on the revaluation and the recycling. We bought this property with bridging funds, actually, because it was auction. We needed funds quickly. Some of our own money, which actually was from an angel primarily. So some of our own, some from an angel, and mostly on bridging loans. So here we are, over a year down the line. We're refinancing. We've uplifted by whatever. We'll get the numbers, and we'll find out how much, because obviously if we take a 75% loan to value, will dictate how much we leave in this deal, if at all, if any. I mean, there's a chance. We'll see. How do you feel about that process?
I think it's key to the whole thing. I mean, if you don't understand that process, you shouldn't be a property investor. The perfect. Of course, we all like to have a deal where we leave no money in the deal. And they do happen, of course they do. But that's not, ultimately, I don't think you have control of that, because especially during uncertain times, revaluations of what you think they should be may not be, you just don't know. You don't know. So you have to be prepared. You have to have an idea. You would never buy a property without having an idea of what the potential revalue is. That would just be stupid. But you can't guarantee it.
Sure.
But I mean, it's quite exciting, but we've factored that in.
Sure.
I think we know the worst case scenario and we know the best case scenario. And as long as we can deal with the worst case scenario, which we know we can, then it's okay. And if we get the best case scenario, then fantastic.
It speeds up.
And if we sit somewhere in the middle, job done.
Good, so that's this one. On to the next, back to the auction room.